What's it been like owning the 2025 Toyota Tundra for 1 month? With all of the issues people have been experiencing with the recently redesigned Tundras, ranging from parts of the interior falling apart, fit and finish issues, and complete engine failures, I'm pretty surprised by this truck. Coming from a second generation Tundra Platinum with the V8, I was hesitant to switch to this new powertrain, but it's different than I thought it would be. One of the main reasons I wanted to change from the second generation Tundra is just that it was lacking so many of the modern features that you get in a new truck. That truck was well equipped, but this one has so many more modern conveniences: a panoramic view monitor, wireless charger, locking tailgate. Plus, I was looking for something that had more car-like road manners and was quiet and had a smooth ride, both for myself but also for passengers. I wanted something that would easily keep up with traffic without feeling like you were pushing it. It's not that the old one didn't have a lot of power, it was just very noisy. The throttle response felt like it was in eco mode all the time, and the transmission was programmed to hold onto the gear for a really long time. I carefully considered all of the half-ton trucks, but ultimately decided the Tundra provided the best combination of comfort, styling that was the most recent, the amount of features you get, the price, and reliability. Of course, the reliability hasn't been great for these twin-turbo Tundras, but other trucks aren't perfect either. The look of this truck is definitely one of those love it or hate it designs, but there's no denying that it's the most modern looking truck out there right now. While a lot of other brands have been playing it safe with minor updates, Toyota completely scrapped the old design and went all in with a completely fresh look. Every body line is brand new, nothing carried over from the last generation, which really makes it look new. The headlights, grille, and hood all got a total makeover, and even the little details, like dynamic turn signals, add to the modern feel. This Platinum model doesn't have any regular chrome, but a theme with black trim and dark chrome, which is really on trend. The whole truck just looks fresh, which is one of my biggest reasons for upgrading. The lines feel fresh, and you can just tell it's brand new. The interior of this truck is well done, and I think they really got the design right. It looks modern and stylish, while still being functional. Everything is laid out in a way that makes sense, so it's easy to reach what you need without feeling cluttered. The massive, high-resolution screen isn't just a gimmick, it's actually very useful, especially when you're using the panoramic view monitor. That feature alone makes a huge difference when driving in tight spaces or parking, giving you a clear view of what's around you, making low-speed maneuvering much safer and easier. The leather is incredibly soft and feels high-end, better than the other trucks, and more like something you'd find in a luxury SUV. The blue accent stitching and trim add a unique touch that gives the cabin a bit more personality. The seats are generally pretty comfortable, although a little too firm for my liking, but they have a lot of adjustments, including thigh extensions on the driver's seat, lumbar that raises and lowers, massaging in the front, and heated and cooled rear seats. It's a balance between premium and practical, and it's one of the nicest interiors in a truck, in my opinion. It's not at the top in terms of quality, but more so in terms of design. There are a few areas where the materials could be improved, like the center console, which does feel cheap and low quality, and there are a couple of small details that could use some refining, but overall, I think they did a great job with the design. The screen in this truck has all the features you need, and it's easy to control everything from navigation to media and vehicle settings. One of the things I really like is that you can pull up the cameras while driving, which is especially useful if you need to check on a load in the bed or keep an eye on the hitch while towing. It gives you that extra peace of mind without having to stop and get out to check. With that said, I do wish they would add the option for a split screen view. With a screen this big, it would really be convenient to have multiple things displayed at once, like seeing the map and your audio controls at the same time, instead of having to toggle back and forth. It just seems like a missed opportunity considering how much real estate there is on the display. Hopefully that's something they improve in a future update, but overall, the screen is still really functional and a great addition to the truck. This truck has pretty much every feature you'd find in other high-end trucks and even some top-tier luxury SUVs. With the heated and cooled rear seats, a huge panoramic moonroof that lets in tons of natural light, super soft leather all around, and even massaging front seats that make the long drives way more comfortable. On top of that, it's packed with all the latest safety tech to keep you and your passengers safe. Plus, power running boards that automatically extend to make getting in and out effortless. One of the biggest reasons I went with this truck is how incredibly loaded it is. You get all the premium features and creature comforts of a high-end vehicle, but with the added practicality of a truck bed for hauling whatever you need. It really is the best of both worlds, luxury and utility in one. For 2025, the higher trim models now come with a power tailgate. I'm usually not the biggest fan of these because in some cases, they feel more cumbersome to use than just lifting it manually. But it does have its advantages. One thing I really like is that if you forget to close the tailgate before driving off, something I do pretty often, I can simply raise it from inside the truck without having to get back out. That alone makes it pretty convenient. But I do wish there was an option to operate it both manually and with power, so you don't always have to fumble with the extra electronics. This truck rides extremely comfortably, and I think it's one of the most comfortable trucks on the market. The cabin is impressively quiet, with minimal road noise and wind noise, even at highway speeds. Whether you're cruising down the highway or in tight city streets, the ride quality feels smooth and refined. The suspension does an excellent job of soaking up bumps, handling potholes and rough roads without transmitting much impact into the cabin. Even on uneven terrain, the truck is composed, keeping passengers comfortable and minimizing harshness you'd get with older trucks. Handling is also a strong point. Body roll is well controlled, making it feel stable and planted even around sharper turns. There's very little brake dive, which helps maintain a confident and predictable feel when slowing down or coming to a stop. For a full-size truck, it feels surprisingly stable, almost like a high-end SUV rather than a traditional body-on-frame pickup. Another thing that makes it feel refined is the quietness of the engine and exhaust. The cabin is well insulated, and there's very little engine noise unless you're really pushing it, and it's pretty much silent when cruising at speed. I decided to turn off the engine sound enhancement, which artificially pumps a V8-like sound through the speakers. While some people might like the added noise, I prefer to enjoy the natural quietness and smoothness of the truck. It's never going to be a V8, so why pretend? The engine is a little rougher than I'd like when it's idling in drive, but when accelerating, it's extremely smooth with no vibration. In terms of comfort, this truck rivals premium SUVs, which seems to be the trend with modern pickups, as people are buying them less for work and more of a luxurious vehicle that can do some of everything. Acceleration is also effortless, and it's easy to keep up with other cars and stop-and-go traffic. The horsepower is nothing too impressive at 389, but the torque comes in strong at 479 pound-feet at just 2400 RPM, so you really get that diesel-like low-end power, which is really helpful for normal driving and towing. None of the other turbocharged trucks have this much torque at such a low RPM. The throttle response is excellent, and the transmission is smooth and shifts quickly. So far, the gas mileage seems to be pretty reasonable, averaging around 18 miles per gallon in city driving. Most of my trips have been fairly short, usually less than 5 miles, so I wouldn't expect it to be very good. On the highway, the numbers improve quite a bit, especially when keeping speeds under 70 miles an hour. I've seen it average close to 23 miles per gallon, but once I start cruising above 70, it tends to drop slightly to around 21 or 22 miles per gallon. The 10-speed transmission is a big help, which does a really great job of keeping the engine running at an optimal RPM for efficiency. I've been pretty easy on the gas pedal, so it'll be interesting to see how things settle in after I put more miles on it. I added this bed cover that Paragon sent me, and it really improves the functionality of the bed because the tailgate locks automatically when you lock the doors, and this is made out of a sturdy material that's secure to leave belongings in the back. Unlike a vinyl soft cover where someone can just cut it open with a knife, this one would take some effort to get into. You really get the practicality of an SUV when you can keep items in the bed secured and out of the elements. Plus, it's really easy to remove. You just slide it forward, and you can easily pull the entire thing out, which is really helpful if you need to use the whole bed. Installation took a couple of hours. It sits above the bed, so it doesn't impede on any space inside, and it looks good from the outside. It's quiet when you're driving over bumps, and it doesn't rattle around, and it keeps things inside pretty much completely dry. I'm looking forward to using this because my last Tundra didn't have an automatic locking tailgate or a hard bed cover, so leaving stuff in the back was always a little risky. There have been a lot of complaints about the build quality of the new Tundra, and I don't doubt that some people have had legitimate issues. However, with this particular truck, I really don't have any complaints. If you're looking for me to pick it apart, I actually did that in a separate video where I go over some of the items that aren't the best quality. My personal experience with this one has been positive. The overall build quality seems solid, the paint is even and consistent, the panels are well aligned, and the interior feels mostly sturdy with no noticeable flaws. I do wish some things were better, but none of the common issues that others have reported have shown up here, at least not so far. Maybe that's because it's 2025, meaning Toyota has had basically 4 years to work out some of the kinks from earlier model years. Whatever the case, I have to say that the quality of this particular truck, in my experience, is pretty good. At this point, I'm very happy with this truck. We'll see how reliable it will be and if the engine problems have been resolved. There's no saying for sure, but Toyota does seem to be attempting to correct the problems. Unfortunately, it will probably never outlive the 5.7-liter V8, but that doesn't mean it won't be reliable, assuming the problems have been ironed out. But many of the quality issues that other owners have experienced on older models aren't apparent in this one.